Okay, so lesson 5 is very similar to the back half of lesson 4 up here. It's actually, they're both labeled lesson 5, which works because they kind of cover the same content in both. So I'm just going to move on to assignment number 8, input basics. So all this assignment is asking for you to do is to use the scanner to create 2 outputs, user-entered outputs for each of the following variables. So I want 2 integers, 2 doubles, 2 floats, 2 shorts, 2 bytes, 2 longs, add code that will add each of the pairs of variables together at the end of the program. So I'm just going to build that right now. And I'm going to do that in assignment number 8. So you can see my package right here for assignment number 8. I'm going to create a new class in assignment 8. I'm not going to do all of them. I'm going to leave some of it for you, but I'm going to give you the starting point that you would need. So if I say assignment 8C, I need a main method in there, so I do that to create. Now you can see I've got my main set up, my class name, my package name, all of that stuff is in there. So I'm going to start with the first one. And the first thing that I need, just one second. Is my import statement. So in order to use the scanner, I have to import it. And from there, I have to establish a new object using that scanner. So new keyboard equals, scanner keyboard equals new scanner system dot in for input. Okay, so that creates my scanner object. So I've imported the scanner class here, and now I want to create an object that holds the same characteristics and behaviors of this class. Okay, so I do that by saying scanner. This is the name of the class that I'm creating the object from, which is up here. I'm going to name my object keyboard. So this, I can call it whatever I want. I'm going to have my users using keyboard, so that's why I'm calling it keyboard. And then the syntax to finish off the creation of the object, the instantiation of the object, is just new scanner. So this is just saying, I'd like to create a version of scanner called keyboard, and it's a new version from that class. And it is, the parameters are that it's input, it's a system input. Okay, so that allows me to now use the scanner to scan for whatever gets typed on the keyboard. All right, so, and in that lesson there's a link of all the different things you can use. I'll do the first 2 here in what they would look like, and then I'll leave the rest for you for when you do the assignment. So system.out.println enter an integer. Termination point. Okay, so then now under here, I'm going to create the integer. I'm going to call it num1. So int num1 equals, and now I'm going to use that object I created. I called it keyboard. So int num1 equals keyboard dot next int. And that's my termination point. So now I say system.out.print num1. Okay, so now when I run my program, it's going to ask the user, enter an integer. So I enter my integer of 5, I hit enter, and it prints 5. Okay, that's all that assignment's asking for. It's just asking you to do 2 integers, 2 doubles, 2 floats, 2 shorts, 2 bytes, 2 longs. Okay, that's all you need to do. So in order to create the second one, obviously you don't need to retype it. It's beneficial for you to retype it because it just teaches you to memorize those keys better. I'm going to copy and paste it just to get through the lesson faster, but I would recommend that you type it. This one's still an integer, so the only issue I'm having now is it's telling me, hey, you already used number 1. It's not giving me an error here because it's still going to give me the value of this variable up here because I'm calling that variable. All right. Here it's saying this is not going to work. You already have a variable named this, and you have to create unique names with your variables. So I just changed that one to be number 2. All right. Now the next one, because you're supposed to do a bunch of them, is going to be a double. So I changed the name of this to double. Oh, come on. Okay, so I enter a double, and I also say double here. Again, I have to change the name because it's got to be unique. I can't use the same name of variables throughout. So I say double 3 equals next double. And now I want it to print number 3. This one too, you should have changed to number 2. Okay, so now when it asks me, when I run it, it's going to ask me enter a double. Even if I enter an integer, it's going to print it as a double. So because doubles have decimal points, so even if I enter an integer, it's going to print it out as if it was actually a double. And then you do the exact same thing one more time, changing the parameters that you need to change. Okay, so I'm going to have to go to number 4 and print number 4. Now if I run the whole thing, it's going to ask me 4 times. So enter an integer, okay, 5. Enter another integer, I'm going to enter 5 again. Enter a double, 5.6. Good, enter another double, 4.9. Okay, that's all this assignment is asking, except I want you to do floats, shorts, bytes, and longs as well. Okay, I would also include, obviously you're going to put your top comments in here, and I would put comments probably at the beginning of each one, user input for integers, and so on and so on and so on for each grouping. You probably don't have to put user input 1 for integers, user input 2 for integers, user input 1 for double, user input 2 for, just say, here's my double inputs, here's my integer inputs, here's my byte inputs, all the way through. Okay, any questions? All right, that's it until lunch. Right after lunch, I'm going to go through